At Direct Service Overhead, we know how much trust you put in the individuals who have the privilege of working on the components of your home. We understand that a broken garage door is the last thing you want to be worried about, and most of the time, doors break at the most inconvenient times. Our professionally trained technicians service 24 hours a day, and our high-cycle parts are guaranteed to make a noticeable impact on your garage door without putting a damper on your wallet. If you're looking for need of assistance maintaining your current garage door, our team has the experience and expertise to deliver the results you deserve. Give Direct Service Overhead a call today or visit us online to learn more.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yo. Oh, actually, we gotta include the yo. There we go. The glasses. They the drip never takes a back seat, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the one and only Picktron Network YouTube channel. I am Ty Hudson, host, creator of the PTN. You guys do me a favor, let's snap the like buttons. Let's do a German suplex. How about a Bill Goldberg spear? Let's do a spear on the like button. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. Again, the subscriber count just keeps going up, up, up. It's fantastic. And I want to say to new and old folks that have been subbed here, shout out to all you guys. I appreciate you. I've had a couple people reach out and say, Ty, I didn't have a YouTube account for the longest time. I was watching you through a third-party link. I know you want to see us in there with our YouTube, with our account and everything, and subscribing to your channel. So me and my husband, I actually had someone say that. Me and my husband both signed up just to watch your show, and so we get some representation up in the PTN. Thank you. Shout out to you. Of course, to the wonderful, I got to take off my glasses for this one, for the sponsors of the YouTube channel, starting with Direct Service Overhead. Again, They operate right here in Northwest Arkansas, Rogers, Springdale, Fayetteville, you name it, Farmington, Greenland, West Fork, you name it. They're all up in the NWA. They're also in Central Arkansas. And they do good work. They will replace and or repair your garage door. You can visit their website. The link is provided for you in the description box, and also for people who are in our Discord. We have a PTN sponsors page on the Discord. You can go check them out there as well. I've got them right there. They're right there. So do that. Go check out what they've got to offer. Go see what they can do for you. Also, a shout out to my where'd my other sponsor go? There we go. Stated Apparel. You can't highlight. It's all just words. And when you're like, I swear I'm dyslexic. I swear I am. All these letters, they just jumble together sometimes. So they joined after, like, the day that we played Texas. They hit me up in the DMs, and they were like, bro, we want to sponsor you. And they have since then. And that's Stated Apparel. They sell the softest shirts you'll find anywhere. They're all made locally right here in Arkansas, in the fine, beautiful state of Arkansas. You can check out their entire inventory over at Stated Apparel. Their link is in the description box as well. And they're also in our Discord sponsor, the PTN sponsor page. They also have their very own Pig Trail Network line of merch, of shirts for you. Now, they're not, PTN logos aren't on the shirts, but they've got a lot of Arkansas-centric stuff on their page. They also sell the name brand clothing brands as well, Native and Southern Marsh. So, again, both their links are provided for you down below in the description box. Arkansas with a win. I mean, it's a win, right? It's a dub. You're going to look, I mean, it's a mixed bag. I'm not going to lie. A little bit of a mixed bag. Wasn't clean. Wasn't precise. But it was a win. And look, they beat the spread. I was wrong. I said don't take the spread. They beat the spread. Arkansas 45-10 with that 35 points. Jenna Mayes with the $10 super chat. Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate it. So super chat is up. I don't have the logo there on the bottom with the super chat. Obviously, it's been taken over there by our wonderful sponsors, but it is up and running, and super chat will always take priority if you guys want me to read your comments, because I will. I'm going to miss some comments. I have people that complain about that. Kelly Marie says, yo. And she got notified. That's great. That's awesome. Love the win, said Ricky Murray. Yeah. Lance, woo damn pig, over 600 yards of total offense. When was the last time that happened? I really don't remember. That had to be in the Petrino era if they did it then. I think they got close multiple times under Petrino. I don't remember. When's the last time you hung up that point total and have that many yards? Sometimes they would blow folks out back in the day, and it was because the defense had a defensive touchdown, or the other team had special teams gaffes, and it put Arkansas in a position to score, get some easy points. A lot of these points were hard earned. They had multiple 90-yard drives. Although I'm going to say this. That second drive, they got bailed out. Again, third down play calling on that second drive, just suspect. I'm just going to say it. You guys know how I feel. But I feel like they tried to get a little bit more. They tried to explore more on third down. A little bit more. Who did they throw that? It looked like a smoke screen, or I think it was to one of the running backs, A.J. Green, and he dropped the ball. People were complaining about that play call. I'm not, because it's not a third down give or a RPO. It's a let's try something else. Let's try and get somebody out in the flats. I'm all for that. People are complaining about the play call. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? We've seen nothing but third down, nothing but gives to the backs. What? Come on, man. We've been complaining about that. Now you open it up a little bit. You're throwing out in the flats. I saw them try to sneak in some tunnel screens a little bit. Like it feels like as the week, even including Texas, week by week, they're opening up a little bit more. Texas, they didn't have to. They didn't have to. You got out to that 16-0 lead, and they just kept running it, and Texas could not stop them. I'm sure Kendall and Sam talked at halftime and were like, look, we're dominating at the line of scrimmage. Let's just keep doing more. Let's give them a heavy dose of our running backs and KJ Jefferson running the ball. Maybe we'll catch him sleeping on an RPO and he'll throw it or whatever. KJ obviously had a big game. All the running backs, none of which went over 100 yards, but they were getting, 6? Like every back except maybe one was getting 5.5, 6 yards a carry against Texas. That's huge. Actually, I think it was north. I think they were all averaging over 6. Great game for them against Texas. My concern, and one of the reasons why I'm never in love with a 23.5 point spread, one of the reasons being because, number one, you knew they were going to try and get those guys, the backups, the 2s and 3s, get them rotating in the fourth quarter if the lead was big enough. And I felt like, okay, now Georgia Southern with that triple option, which is difficult to defend if executed properly. I thought they would do a little bit better than what they did against Arkansas, but or even just the last 2 weeks. But they just the mistakes that team made. Georgia Southern, they played like Arkansas did against Rice. Like the mistakes, the drops. They gave Arkansas second opportunities. They bailed them out on third downs. They just were so. I'm not saying it's deer in headlights. Like I don't think that was a crowd issue like what you could say with Texas a little bit. Texas, you just flat out dominated. You could take the crowd out of it, and Arkansas, I think, still dominates that game for the most part. But they just made all these mental mistakes, a lot of errors on behalf of Georgia Southern. But my concern, again, was that they were going to come in and get some what you would call like junk points, right? Like come in and get a couple scores, maybe get a couple field goals or something, but maybe Arkansas gets out to this big 35 or 36-point lead, and then they start to shrink the gap maybe because the triple option is so difficult to defend, again, if executed properly. It really can be good in situations like that where you need some quick points, but they're just – I mean, look, they haven't displayed – I watched Georgia Southern against FAU. I watched their game on YouTube. They didn't look good then. I definitely didn't expect them to look good today, but I thought at least the triple option would have a little bit more effect. Now, their quarterback – who Arkansas has no film on this year, comes in with that long run. Okay, that's just going man and trying to bring pressure, blitzing, going man downfield. Nobody to defend, the back end of the defense. Nobody was going to be there. All he had to do was get past the second layer of the defense, and the quarterback's gone. Nobody was there in the second layer. Nobody was there. Just a simple. I'm not saying it's on Odom. It's just. A quarterback like that, if he reads that right, if he sees the gap, he's good enough, he's going to take it. And that's what we saw. You take that one play away, and even with Georgia Southern cleaning up the majority of their play, I think it's still a blowout no matter what. They dropped the ball, the penalties. Oh, my goodness. But Arkansas with multiple 90-yard drives. We finally got to see Treylon Burks spread his wings and fly a little bit, but he still only had 3 catches. He is a freak of nature. You give him 5 yards, he's going to take 60. I mean, I really don't know how you defend him, but we have seen for 3 weeks again, you take away that one big play tonight, he's got 2 catches. Now, they did use him a little bit in motion. They kind of used him as a chess piece on the board, trying to distract the defense like they did against Texas. We saw quite a little bit of that tonight. He's still not completely taking over like we saw him do a year ago. I don't know if that's just by design, if that's him getting double coverage, if a corner and the safeties are over the top on him and the quarterback just doesn't want to risk it. I don't know what to say so far on Burks. I'm going to say this. I do not see him staying contained like that all year. He finally got some film for the NFL, for an NFL, for a front office to look at and go, oh, wow, okay, he can do that. He did that against, even though it was Georgia Southern, we see what he's capable of. I told you guys, he's a freaking nature. Someone who's that size, that frame, he's got huge hands, big feet. He takes up a lot of yardage. He's such a problem for secondaries to deal with. Do me a favor, make sure you subscribe. Again, for all you that are new here, make sure you share the content. That means as much to me as anything. Share, and of course get the likes. German suplex, or give it a Bill Goldberg spear. Man, when he speared folks back in the late 90s during the Attitude Era of wrestling, it was done. It was like the most effective super move. I'm just saying. Did you guys watch Alabama, Florida? Ooh, I didn't get a chance to catch all of it. I haven't seen all the highlights yet. I think there was a special teams. Someone blocked a field goal or something. I don't know. I didn't watch it. Our eyes were primarily glued on this, and I watched the A&M New Mexico game. I watched a good chunk of that. Still not – I think it's debatable that they're a top 10 team. I'm not saying they're not top 15, but I don't know that I would put them – I don't know that I'd be comfortable putting A&M in my top 10. Their offense in the first half, definitely ineffective. Now, their defense, front seven, looked really good in the first half. They gave up something like 2.5 yards a carry on – like 16 carries. Now, I haven't checked on the stat board in the second half, but I think they ended up winning that one like 35-0. And I would say New Mexico is definitely a step up from Georgia Southern, but we're not talking about a massive step in a different direction. Maybe we are. I don't know. They were 2-0 going into that game. I don't know a ton about New Mexico, but what I saw, and even from the highlights, there's just not. I don't know. Their quarterback looked better. He threw for like 200 yards in the first half or something. He looked sharper. Again, I know everyone's going to go, look who they played. Okay, well then you have to say the same thing about Arkansas today if you're going to take that excuse. Like, we still have to analyze what we see on the field. Of course, who you play matters. Of course it matters. It always matters. We talk about P5s and non-P5s. We talk shit about the Big 12 constantly because that's not a Power 5 conference, but in my opinion, they're not. Oklahoma today, what was that? Is Nebraska bad or not? Is Oklahoma overrated? Because they did not look like a top. They didn't look like a top 10 team to me today. I'm telling you, this is why preseason rankings are bullshit. This is why they're BS right here. Now, I get week-to-week matters, and OU and Nebraska is a thing. I get it. They hate each other. They're not big fans. We're not talking Red River shootout. But, like, come on, man. Nebraska's not – they're terrible this year. They're not very good. At least they haven't looked good what I've seen. So Oklahoma, is Alabama – were they brought down to earth a little bit today? Or is Florida a legit – possibly from the outside looking in, a playoff contender? You look at Georgia when they played Clemson earlier in the year, their offenses both look really bad, but their defenses look great. This is why, again, we should not have preseason polls. Wait till after week 4. At least by then, everyone's played at least one decent team by that point. In Arkansas's case, it'll be 2. We'll have a much better idea about what Arkansas is after A&M. A&M plays physical, okay? And I know everyone says, well, so does Arkansas. Sure, they do. But A&M, it's going to be the most physical matchup you're going to have maybe even all year until you play Georgia and Alabama. So let me read your comments here. We had some super chats. Let me scroll down. I'm going to scroll down, Wilbur. All right. Now we need to beat Texas A&M, says Jared the Great. It's not just Jared, it's Jared the Great. Ty, thoughts on KJ? We'll get to that in a second. We're going to go over his numbers. Was there a little bit of an overreaction to KJ? Was it, what exactly went down? And then John Hawes, Woo Damn Pig, Sugar, on to Texas A&M. Absolutely. On to Texas A&M. That's how it goes right there. On to Texas A&M. Jared the Great, $10 super chat, but his message was deleted, so I don't know what you said. I appreciate the super chat. Again, share the content, subscribe, like, do a German suplex on that like button. Dragon of the Mist. I love reading your name, man. That's one of the best names in this chat. Dragon of the Mist. Given the cohesion of our O-line now, it looks like we're going to be able to lean on our running a lot, which opens up the passing. We'll talk about that in a second. They were physical and chippy tonight. Well, Georgia Southern was talking some noise. Oklahoma, I saw this play. I think it was Oklahoma today. where he pushed a guy out of bounds, and he did something similar to what Fouché did a year ago against was it LSU. Remember, he did that, and then he got the unsportsmanlike penalty. They don't call that over in the Big 12 or did they have Big 10 officiating? Bloodline Nebraska really wanted the game. They did, but Oklahoma's a top 3 playoff team. I just would not right now. I don't know. Based on they've had 2 just kind of games, I don't know that they're worthy of the playoffs. But at the same time, do you have a clear-cut top 5, top 4 team this year? Everyone looks like they've been kind of brought down to earth a little bit. I'm not saying Bama's going to get beat by Arkansas. I'm not saying that right now. Definitely not saying that. But Dan Mullins doesn't have the best record against Bama, and I get to it's the Swamp. It was loud. A lot of people in that place. I mean, I those of you who are at the Arkansas-Texas game, I know people who have been to the Alabama 2010 game and who have been to the Swamp when they played in big games, and they always say the Swamp is probably one of the top 3 loudest environments in college football. And Arkansas can get loud. It's one of the most underrated venues in terms of, the loudness, the decibels, right? Like they're one of the most underrated in all of college football, if you want my opinion. But I've heard the Swamp it's just unlike anywhere else, right? Death Valley is, of course, in there. Auburn on the road at Penn State tonight. It's actually coming up here in like 20 minutes. That place can get loud too. We know Michigan. We know Ohio State. Those places can get loud too. But I've always heard the Swamp is up there. So I'm sure that was a factor. We know they had trouble hearing. I watched that a little bit where the offensive line, there's a lot of miscommunication. Young quarterback. Alabama just, I don't know. Then I saw one of their backs got hurt. I didn't see who it was, but I heard he was limping. OU and Arkansas in the Cotton Bowl, says Ricky Murray. Just like for you, boss. I appreciate that. Kalan Hitchens, 87. Sorry, it's nights like this where I need to have my glasses on. Jared the Great with another $5 super chat. We need to beat the Aggies so we can prove to people that we will be a threat this year. Yeah, I agree with that. 100%. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, but more drops than missed passes by him. I don't know who you're talking about. Are you talking about KJ, or are you talking about Georgia Southern's quarterback? We have a couple of games coming up. We must buckle up. So I'm going to say this, Tony. You're spot on. The way they played in the second quarter, again, it was flashes of what we saw against Rice. There is clearly an issue here with consistent play through an entire game when you're forced to kind of open things up a little bit. KJ's still not sharp throwing the ball. Okay, he's not. I don't care. I'm not bashing the kid. He was unbelievable. 300 and how many yards on 15 completions? That's insane. A lot of that is yards after catch. A big bulk of that was thanks to Burks. And, oh, my gosh, that deep bomb to Thompson. KJ's, I've been saying it all offseason, he can throw the deep ball as good as Felipe Franks. He's got it in him. It's the touch on the ball that he still is just inconsistent at. They have to clean up that part of this offense. When you're playing someone like A&M who can plug the gaps, who they've got athletes, their front seven is abusive. They're physical. It is hard to beat them in the trenches. All of a sudden, they're plugging the gaps. They're not letting you set the edge. Now their defense is setting the edge. They're beating you outside. You're not getting the big gaps. Now we have this issue with Ricky Stromberg. I think he's going to be okay. He was seen in the fourth quarter still in pads, so I think he's all right. But, I mean, how prepared is he going to be for A&M? Because I don't know how physical or how much they're going to let him participate this week. That's something to keep an eye on. All of a sudden, like, you're about to play someone who is far more physical than Texas, who is capable of completely shutting your run game down. They're capable of doing it. Now you're forced to open things up. Now you're forced to go to 4 and 5 wide sets. Now, a lot of 4 wide sets. If they go 5 wide, they're using Blake Kern or Hudson Henry down underneath, close to the line of scrimmage, or they'll line them up somewhere in the backfield. But you're forced to throw the ball. All of a sudden, you got to be sharper. Now, I thought KJ was a mixed bag tonight. For the most part, I thought, honestly, he was pretty damn good. I don't know what people are bitching about. I get he's overthrowing targets. I get that. I see it. But that's nothing new with him. He was doing that. I mean, Mizzou, you had a couple drops. He was still overthrowing folks. You go back to Rice earlier this year. He did not have touch on the ball in the first half. He looked a little raw. And then the second half, he tightened things up a little bit, and they opened the playbook up more, and he got more and more comfortable. He had these long runs. But you're about to play A&M, who we know, when you talk about talent, just like with Texas, they're stacked with talent. The difference is A&M has Jimbo Fisher as a head coach. This is not a first-year coach. You're not implementing anything new on either side of the ball. You've got a lot of returning talent on both sides of the ball, especially on defense, and they have looked pretty freaking salty this year. Now, again, I don't know what they did in the second half. I'll go look at that. Someone had said they got chewed up in the second half. I'll go back and look. But I can't imagine it was that bad because it's not like Nebraska racked up a whole bunch of points. Maybe they gave up some yardage here and there, but for the most part this year, their defense, their front seven, quick, abusive, physical. They can plug up gaps. They'll prevent you from setting the edge. Very good defense. Still too early to say how good anybody really is. Again, I always say, give me 4 weeks, and then we could really start to piece this thing together. And this A&M game is going to tell you a lot. Going to this Georgia Southern game, let's go over the numbers here really quick. Justin Tomlin. Guys, they threw the ball 28 times. They had, between these two quarterbacks, Cam Ransom and Tomlin, they had 81 yards through the air. I'm surprised they didn't throw they didn't turn the ball over. I really thought Georgia Southern was going to have a couple of turnovers in this game. On the ground, of course, Tomlin had that 76-yard run. Again, that was bringing the house. That was trying to, they were trying to get to him, rattle him. He was able to roll out and make a play. Nobody there, no safeties over the top, no one in that second layer of the defense, and he just took off. Tomlin is that kind of quarterback. You had to go back to last year to look at his film. You don't have any film on him this year because he's been under academic suspension for 2 weeks. So he took off. He ended up, though, it's funny, he ended up with 10 carries for 65 yards. That one run is the only reason why he was in positive yardage at all. He's the big reason why they had over 100 yards. They had over 150 yards on the ground on 35 carries, but still as a team they rushed for just 4.3. Again, and you're not supposed to do this, I get it, but scrub that 76-yard run. They're averaging not a lot, right? I mean, they're under 3 yards a carry easily. 1 touchdown on the ground for them. They're receiving Caleb Hood, who's kind of a Swiss Army knife for them a little bit today. 6 catches, 42 yards. He also had 4 carries for 20 yards. He was kind of their only reliable piece on offense. Logan Wright, 2 catches for 15 yards. Now Logan carried the ball 9 times for 37 yards. That's 4 yards a carry. That's not terrible. I really thought he would end up with the ball in his hands a lot more than he did between him and maybe Gerald Green. Again, we don't have defensive stats yet. It looked to me like they swarm to the ball. I mean, this defense just continues to do what they do. They swarm. You take away one explosive play, they don't even have a touchdown. They have a field goal. Could have won this game 45-3, and I think that would please fans even more. But that's not how it works. So KJ Jefferson, all this bitching and moaning about KJ. Pardon my language if kids are listening and they're near you and you've got me on your speaker or I'm coming through your car audio. But KJ, all this griping about KJ, he went 13-23, 366 yards. His pass completion was almost 16 yards again. You got to credit the receivers on that, but still 3 touchdowns. Malik Hornsby was 1 for 1, but he lost yardage on it. John Stephen Jones came in. I didn't get to see him play out the rest. I missed the final little tidbit there. Dominic Johnson tonight, 5 carries, 72 yards with a touchdown. Raheem Sanders, 10 carries, 43 yards. Treylon, who I think got a little dinged up in this game, but he had 8 carries, 39 yards. So that's just south of 5 yards a carry with a touchdown. AJ Green, look, he had a 17-yarder, right? I mean, he's had at least a 15-yard run now, both games that he's been in. He had 7 carries for 37 yards, and Malik Hornsby had 5 carries, 22 yards. His first touchdown as a Razorback came on I think it was a 6-yard run to the end zone. We saw Javion Hunt, freshman, 4 carries, 19 yards, and Jefferson, who ran the ball for 18 yards on 5 carries. So KJ damn near had 400 total yards of offense with 3 touchdowns. People are still complaining. It's not like this guy turned the ball over. Did he miss some cues? Yeah. Did he overthrow people? Yeah. But let's talk about the drops. Once again, Every damn week they're dropping the ball. Look, I get one drop, but they're at the point now where it's like you just expect about 2 to 3 drops. You clean those up, my man is throwing for like 65, 70% on the year. For the most part, he's just getting the ball in the area of the receiver for them to make a play on. So Burks, 3 catches, 127 yards with that 91-yard touchdown. Devion Warren, 3 for 67. Tyson Morris, who continues to be a legit down the field target, a guy you could kind of expect to run those long comeback routes where they're not just 10 and back. It's like we'll go 12 or 13 and come back, or he'll just straight up run down the field and we'll throw him the ball and he'll jump up and get it. That's kind of what he's become. Warren Thompson. I have been waiting on this guy to do something like this year, and he already delivers. I didn't think he'd be this quick, but he ends up with a 60-yard on-the-money deep ball throw from KJ for 60 yards for his first touchdown. Was that his first touchdown as a Razorback? Or am I missing that he had one maybe against Texas or Rice? Blake Kern had a nice catch for 21. AJ, who is he's a dual threat running back, and he proved it today, 2 for 20. And OU transfer Crawford, 2 catches for 8 yards. We had another special teams gaffe, but it wasn't bad. Ladarius Bishop, I don't know what happened in the end zone. That was just on Ladarius. I can't figure out why these guys every week, man. Now, I'm not faulting special teams coach. I'm not faulting you know who I've been told I'm too hard on. Ladarius Bishop, I don't know if it's in his head. I don't know. But he's good for at least a gaffe. So, I'm not grasping at straws here. I'm just saying it's bizarre to me that you could just expect something, but it could have been a lot worse. It wasn't. He was able to kind of recoup himself and run down the field for 17 yards or something. I mean, and Bishop, by the way, is probably one of your faster players. Nathan Perotti, let me tell you why he's the only guy returning punts now. Because nobody else can field punts. It's that simple. People are complaining about that on Twitter. I don't know about our Discord, but no one else can field punts. Now, I'm going to say this. He netted 13 yards. Do I have something to make noise with? I don't have any sound effects queued up here. Hey, we got 13 yards on 3 returns. I think that's you're going to take that all day long instead of fumbling the ball or muffing the punt or not getting any kind of return yardage at all. He had 3 returns for 13 yards. Cam Little, what is he now on the year? Is he? Let's see, he had 4 last week, 5. So he's 6 for 6 on the year, right? 100% on extra points. He was 6 for 6. How about that? Reed Bauer, did you see that 60-yarder he had in the second quarter? And he did manage to get the ball down in the 20. How about Anthony Beck for Georgia Southern? He had a 59-yard punt and 4 punts inside the 20, and I think, was it 3 inside the 10 and 2 inside the 5? They were 1 for 1. Alex Rayner was 1 for 1 from 32 yards for a field goal for 3 points. That's how they got their 10 points. So special teams, at least they didn't do anything to cost Arkansas points. So again, it looks like we're seeing week to week improvement. I love that. I love it. I'm going to take it. I'm sorry if you can hear kids in the background. We've got a friend of ours. We're watching their kids, and they get a little loud. You know how kids be. I'm a little concerned about our secondary. We haven't faced an accurate quarterback yet, and there were a few busted plays a good quarterback would have taken advantage of. Otherwise, Woo Pig says Mike Lane. Yeah, there were multiple times when the receiver was overthrown. We saw that against Texas. One play Catalan was defending on, and the next I think was Fouché. Fouché was clearly beat. We've seen that week to week where quarterback is just overthrowing their targets against the Razorback secondary. You have to give some credit to the Arkansas defense to some capacity to force that overthrow, but the receivers have beaten Arkansas secondary. I mean, there's been a couple times. Of course, you had the Ladarius Bishop blown play against Rice. When was that, the first half? I swear that game feels like 6 weeks ago, you know. Ladarius Bishop had one busted coverage. You know, listen, that's going to happen. Every corner that has ever played the game of football has gotten beat more than once. It's going to happen, you know, but we haven't seen them at all get beat consistently. Like, it's not like play for play they're getting beat. You know, every once in a while, you know, thanks to either play design or just getting out hustled on a route, you know, every once in a while they're going to get beat. When we beat the Aggies, we are sub 15 ranking, I think, for sure. Says Bloodline. What did Emily say? If Arkansas wins next week, does that mean Arkansas is a top 10 team? Oh. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, because A&M hasn't looked great, and you know how this works. The coaches, the AP, you name it, they're all going to say, well, yeah, Arkansas is good, but it's clear. You can look back at Colorado. Really, you could look at today's game. I don't know that I'm blown away by their performance today. But then again, you could say the same thing about Arkansas for people who didn't watch the entire game. And I don't know that I'm inclined to entirely disagree with them. Arkansas was not. I mean, they kind of struggled. They got bailed out again on that second drive. They got bailed out a little bit. What was that? A roughing the passer? Or no. Was it a offsides or something? I forgot what it was now, but there was a flag. It was they should have been punting, and instead they got a brand new set of downs, and they went down the field and they scored. So I don't know that you look at A&M and say, well, they're really a top 10 caliber team, and now all of a sudden because Arkansas beats them at a neutral, quote-unquote, neutral site, that now they're a top 10 team. I wouldn't see them getting a top 10 ranking. If you're asking me, does that mean they belong in the top 10? I don't know. A lot of variables there. Like, how badly does assuming I even pick Arkansas to win this game, by the way. Remember, the beginning of the year was a coin flip leaning towards A&M. So Friday, I'll give you my score, my prediction. That's going to be a big one. That's going to be a huge this game is so meaningful. But yeah, AP is not going to rank you in the top 10 if you beat A&M. They won't. They'll probably put you somewhere in the top 15, maybe if you're lucky, top 12. But again, it also depends on what happens in front of you and what happens behind you in terms of ranking. I'm not concerned about ranking. I just want to beat A&M. I don't give a damn about rank. Keep us at 20. Don't drop us back, but keep us in the top 20 and beat A&M's ass. That's all I'm asking. I'm tired of this. If you lose this year, what is that, 10 years in a row? That needs to stop. The A&M losing streak needs to stop. It needs to come to an end. I'm tired of this shit. A&M, there have been years where you were the better team and you still dropped the game. Under Burt. Hell, even Chad Morris played him pretty decent one time. I mean, there have been, and I'm not saying those years you were better, but there were years where you were the better team and you still dropped that damn game. It's time to put that streak to bed, and you do that this Saturday on CBS. That's a big game. That is a big game for the conference. It's a big game for A&M. It's a big game for Arkansas. Why not beat their ass on national television, on CBS, put an end to that streak, and leave all concerns and doubts aside? You're going to have concerns because, hell, Alabama fans have concerns right now. But prove everybody wrong. We are better than what people thought we were, which we already are. We proved that against Texas. You're 3-0. You're ranked. You're already better than what people thought you were going to be. But now you prove that you absolutely belong in the conversation as being one of the better teams this year in the SEC. Year 2 under Sam Pittman, by the way. Glenn, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in a live chat in forever, bro. Welcome. We played okay and won big, but we need a A+ against A&M. I agree. Arkansas takes A&M lock, says Bloodline. If I got a cookie for every time I got nervous when special teams goes onto the field, I would have diabetes. Thank you. Jarrett Carrot Productions. Good to see you in chat again, my man. Alex Henderson, I would love to see repeat of Texas A&M of Texas game against A&M. Oh, me and you both. Could you imagine blowing them out? Could you imagine a Texas-sized ass whooping in the house that Jones built? Are you kidding me? Oh my God! Then that's what I mean. Like, it depends on the manner of which you beat them. Arkansas football is about to get a lot of national attention over the next few weeks. You've got a gauntlet coming up. You've got an absolute gauntlet coming up. Okay, around college football, really quick. Ohio State, they beat Tulsa 41-20. The 0-3 Tulsa Hurricanes, by the way, 41-20. At one point in the first half, it was a pretty close game. Right now, Clemson's on top of Georgia Tech, 7-0. What quarter is that in? Is that in the third? second quarter, I think. South Carolina, they're trailing Georgia at the moment in the, I guess, the first quarter. 14-6, playing them somewhat close. Alabama with that win over Florida, 31-29. Oklahoma barely sneaking past a 2-1 Nebraska. Not a very good Nebraska team, 21-16. Iowa beat Kent State 30-7. Texas A&M over New Mexico, 34-0. Cincinnati beats Indiana 38-24. I think that one was pretty close in the first half. Purdue they get beat up on by Notre Dame. Notre Dame hands them their first loss of the year. Virginia Tech dropped to West Virginia. I thought Virginia Tech was for real. I really did. I thought they were for real, and they dropped this game 27-21. Coastal Carolina sneaks past Buffalo, by the way. 1-1 Buffalo, and these guys, you're going to tell me Coastal Carolina's top 16 in the country? Get the hell out of here. 28-25. Michigan State over the U. I picked that game. I picked it. Everyone was saying Miami, and I said nope. On the I say I picked it on the Mark Rogers TV. I'm in a pool of 19 other college pundits, whatever you want to call it. For the pick'ems, right now, coming into week 3, I was the leader. I had the best win-loss record on my picks. I don't know. There are some games I'm not so sure about. Michigan over Northern Illinois, 63-10. You've got Oregon taking on Stony Brook. Oh, that game's delayed. Okay, that's weird. And Auburn scored on Penn State. I picked Auburn. I'm not even gonna lie about it. I picked Auburn. I liked what I've seen out of Auburn. I think Penn State's overrated. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And Virginia right now is trailing North Carolina 7-0. You got Tulane taking on Ole Miss, which is delayed. Okay, that one's delayed. Arizona State, BYU coming up. Iowa State, UNLV, 0-2 UNLV. And then you've got UCLA and Fresno State. A lot of people think that might be a trap game for UCLA. Did that one get delayed? No. It's going to be at 10 o'clock tonight, so if you want some late night football. All right. I think it's touch guys. KJ's arm strength is off the charts, and the ball hits like a cannon sometimes. I've said this before when you watch them on underneath routes. Watch him on underneath routes, how hard he throws the ball. He threw the ball to De'Vion Warren in week 1 against Rice, and you see it hits De'Vion Warren in his hands. He should have caught it. I agree. But you see him going back to the huddle, and he's holding his hands. The only other time I've seen receivers do that a couple of times with him, the only other quarterback I have ever seen do that, he did it with Jarius Wright, he did it with Joe Adams, he did it with Greg Childs, and that was Ryan Mallett. And that used to hear them talk about that on the radio shows on Bo Mattingly. He takes their hands off with how hard he would throw the ball, and Arkansas had an issue of dropping these underneath routes. And you know how strong Ryan Mallett's arm was. That guy had an NFL arm in high school. He's chucking the ball all over the field in high school. And he's taking their hands off. I think KJ, he's just lacking touch. I had someone in my comment section ask me to explain that. It's really hard to explain touch because, if you've ever thrown a football, it's about how hard you throw the ball. It's about when that ball leaves your hand, the kind of touch that you put on the ball, how tight the spiral is, how hard you're throwing it. Sometimes, look, it's hard to blame the quarterback. You shouldn't blame the quarterback. If it's in your hands, you need to catch it. But at the same time, we still have to talk about touch. And you got to put better touch on the ball. And I think that's something he's struggling with. Notice how every time when he misses a quarterback, why? Why is it? Whether it's a cross route, not like they run those a lot. The Petrino era, they would go to the crossing routes. If it's a hitch, if it's something short, if it's a check down throw, if it's a design, where they have KJ run out of the pocket and throw to a tight end or a running back or receiver, what's the problem? He's overthrowing his targets. And I think, again, it's just a matter, it's a matter of touch on the ball. He's putting too much on the ball. I'm not a quarterback coach, right? I didn't play quarterback, but I think it's pretty obvious. I think anyone who's new to football would say, I think there's something going on there where he's overthrowing guys. and he's throwing them so hard. And when those receivers look at their hands after trying to catch a KJ thrown ball, you know there's something going on. You don't have to be a rocket scientist at the game of college football to know there's something going on with his touch. He's either putting too much on it. And you look at his deep ball throws, guys, it's like he's hitting most of the time. He's getting them right where the ball needs to be. It's like you saw that throw to Thompson to the Florida State transfer. It was on the money. I mean, it right in his hands, perfectly thrown. Why is that? Well, that's where that arm strength comes into play for him, and that's why he's able to drop dimes. He's got a great arm. I think his arm strength is, I think it is comparable to Felipe Franks. I'm not saying he's got a Ryan Mallett arm, but maybe he does. I don't know. Why in the hell would anyone want to go to USC? Dumpster fire. Why are we talking about USC again? Sam Pittman is not going to USC. I heard Franklin. Franklin was the guy they were talking about, Penn State's coach. KJ's arm is all gas and no brakes. I mean, I don't think you could put it any better than that, Mr. Wordsmith, Mr. Bloodline. I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna have you write jokes. I'm gonna pay you I'm gonna pay you some money for every show to write my jokes. I saw a USC fan in some community say Chad Morris. Oh, on community site say Chad Morris. Oh, Lord. Let him go. Please go. KJ has a howitzer for an arm. I'm telling you, man, his deep ball placement is really good. It has been so far. I mean, you're about to play some better secondaries. They're going to, the receivers aren't going to be as open. It's going to get a lot tougher from here on out. But if he keeps doing what he's been doing, I mean, I don't know. I really liked what I saw from him today for the most part. Yeah, he's still, again, I think he struggles with a little bit of touch. Are people done asking for Malik? We saw tonight why he's number 2. Yeah, and even the announcers talked about it. He's got some work to do in the passing game. He does. He's got some work to do. I agree. And there's also just knowing the offense. He's fast. No doubt about his speed. I think he has legit 4.4 speed. I don't know. Ty still thinks KB hasn't opened up the playbook. I'm not saying he hasn't opened it up entirely. I just think that there's still some stuff that they haven't utilized. There's some plays in the playbook. We've seen them week to week do something different. I think maybe it's the back of the playbook. Maybe they haven't flipped it over. I don't know. I think for the most part they have. I think we've seen probably the majority of what they want to do, but there's probably still some plays, right, that they kept on the back burner. We know they do that. I mean, we saw them do that last year towards the end of the season, and all of a sudden their offense started to chime in a different direction. Hey Ty, did Little miss a field goal? I missed that. No, I don't think so. No, he went 1 for 1, right? Isn't that what I said? Did I say he went 1 for 1? Yeah, he was 1 for 1. No, he did what he should do, baby. I feel pretty good about the kicker. KB hasn't needed to open up. Yeah, and that's exactly. I mean, my neighbor and I, Alex, talked about this. We're talking about Treylon Burks, like it feels like either by design or with him dropping balls, maybe quarterback feels a little hesitant throwing him the ball. I don't know what it is. Or is it possible they just haven't needed him and they're kind of saving him? I just have a hard time seeing that with Texas. Sorry, Alex cooked some awesome burgers, by the way. Shout out to Alex. That's Cricks in our Discord, by the way. If you want to give him a shout out and say Ty gave you some love, because them burgers were delicious. I had 2. We were kind of talking about that. Like, what is the deal with Burks? Why isn't he getting more touches? Why isn't he a bigger part of the offense? Last year this offense revolved around in one way or another Burks getting his hands on the ball. This year it's like, and that's a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong, when you don't need to rely on one guy to get things going. This year it's been the quarterback. This year it's like we need the quarterback to step up and get it going. And you've seen him do that with his legs. We've also seen him do it a little bit with his arm. My fear is if it's just a matter of Burks, maybe he's not 100%. Maybe he should have sat against Rice. Maybe he was, on purpose was underutilized against Texas because they didn't really need him because they were killing him with the run game, with the north-south run game because of KG, the threat of his ability, or KJ's KG. KG. Yeah, Kevin Garnett. KJ, his threat of with the run game, and they just didn't need to utilize him today. It was a little bit of the same. I don't know. I can't figure out. So is it that they just haven't needed to really do any of this stuff? But I'm going to tell you, we did see them open it up as far as throwing. We knew they were. They weren't super sharp. Now, again, they got a ton of yards through the air. Again, I told you guys, this secondary has given up 330 yards, at least that amount in every game now this year. 3 straight games. Their secondary is atrocious. And they haven't really done a great job of getting to the quarterback this year. Talking about Georgia Southern. And they got a little bit of pressure. They were able to get a little bit of pressure even before the injury to Stromberg. So my fear or my concern is you're going to go up against someone like A&M. They're going to be able to slow down that run game to some. I don't know that you could stop it, but I think they're good enough they can contain it. I'm not saying that's what happens. I'm saying they're good enough that they can contain it. Now you're forced to open up and throw the ball, and at times they just don't. Whether it's on KJ, I'm not saying it's even on KJ, even though I think he's lacked that sharpness. It could be a timing issue between him and some of the receivers. These guys obviously are dropping balls too. That's an issue. They've got some things they got to clean up in the passing game, and I would even argue still on first and third down play calling from KB. For the most part, I think he's called the last 2 games. Really, for the most part, I would say 7 quarters total. We've seen some pretty solid play calling by Kendall Briles. That's better than last year at this point, no doubt. That's better than last year at this point. By the way, you're now averaging 40 points a game. I don't know what their average yards per game is. It's got to be somewhere in the 500s. Guys, I mean, we can't complain too much about what we're seeing from the offense, and that includes playing against Texas. I don't care what we think about Texas right now. That includes playing against a roster full of 4-star and 5-star talent. That includes a roster or a game plan that's managed by Steve Sarkisian, right? Points allowed. Where are they at in points allowed? They're going to be, 15 points a game or something? I mean, right now things are going in a damn good direction, but now you're about to get – this is a true test, I think, this weekend against A&M. So I think they still got a lot of cleaning up to do. I'm glad they had the Rice debacle, the first half debacle. I'm glad that happened. We saw how they responded in the second half in that game and against Texas. Today, I think you could kind of say the same things. They made some mistakes. They got bailed out by some awful penalties by Georgia Southern. They made a lot of mistakes outside of turning the ball over. They didn't turn the ball over. They made a lot of mistakes with flags, but still – I think they're going to see some things on film where they go, we have to clean this up, and it's good that it happened because now you've got A&M. We're going to see if they can continue to respond to kind of a so-so type game like what you had against Rice and now with Georgia Southern. You can't complain too much. 45-10, you beat the spread. 30, great teams cover. You know what they say. Look, there's nothing to bitch about outside of what I've said. I'm still a little bit, the first and third down play calling, the drops, and just the overall sharpness in the passing game. And I don't put that all on KJ. Again, receivers are dropping balls. Are we putting receivers in position to make big plays? My computer's making weird noises. I hope we're not about to drop off here. Mr. Bloodline says, I'm not hating on Burks. I think KJ hits him harder than Franks did. I think so too. And that's, I think, the difference between KJ and Felipe Franks. I think Franks had a little bit better touch on the ball, and he put the ball in a place where the receiver could make something happen with the ball. KJ, he just gets the ball in the vicinity where you could catch it, and it's usually up high, right? And it kind of takes the receiver out of his momentum where he's not able to kind of run with it a little bit better. But we saw a little bit of that tonight. So, again, hopefully they work all this stuff out and they respond the same way that they did coming back from or going into Texas from the Rice game. Third down conversion still worries me a bit. So let's talk about that. Again, I said it. Third down play calling has me concerned. Why? Last week in the first half, what were they? 3 of 8 or something on third down. And they ended up being okay. But look, tonight they were 7 of 15. That's obviously below 50%. You don't want to be south of 50%. Fortunately, again, Georgia Southern made a lot of mistakes. They were 5 of 18. The good news, you were 1 for 1 on fourth down. Georgia Southern, who we knew were going to go for it at least twice, they did that. They were 50%. You had 633 total yards of offense, 364 yards passing. Again, you were 14 of 25 there. Yards per pass were 14-6. You had 9 penalties tonight for 93 yards. They had 8 for 50. Again, penalties hurt them in that Rice game. Look how they responded against Texas. They played the most crisp 4 quarters of football in that area. When you're talking about flags and penalties, they responded. I hope we see that against A&M. I feel like we will, but again, you're about to play the most physical team you have played all year, and probably going to be one of the most physical teams that you play all year besides Georgia and Alabama. Mizzou, by the way, I don't have the Mizzou score in front of me. Didn't they struggle a little bit? Let me go to the SEC scores. Oh, I hate it when my screen does that. There we go. All right. Mizzou barely won, right? Or didn't they struggle quite a bit? The game is still 3-0, Auburn, Penn State. Stanford, I forgot they're playing Vanderbilt. They're leading 7-0. Mizzou, okay, it was 59-28 over SEMO, who's 0-2 coming into this game. They're 0-3. Mizzou, of course, they're fans. You know how they are. Oh, look how great we are. We're going to be terrible in SEC play, but look at us beat the shit out of SEMO. We're great. We're ready for you, Arkansas. Yeah, right. We're going to stick our cleats up your ass. Too many penalties. Yeah, I agree. Paper numbers don't mean squat. I hate it when people say that. Like, they don't mean squat. Then what else do you have to analyze? Like, you could look at – you have to do – I have this conversation every year with somebody. You got to see the on the field, the eye test. I'll always tell you that matters as much as any. But you've got to look at the numbers because they do matter. Let's not sit here and pretend like they don't. They do. I hope we destroy Mizzou this year. I want to just I don't know what's more embarrassing, the losing streak they have to Mizzou or to A&M. You understand the Alabama lose. I mean, you know, Whooping Suey says Joy Hopkins. Woot woot. Lance says because this was only the 13th game, so basically 1 year under a new staff. Think about that. I'm assuming you're responding to somebody in chat, but I mean, eventually excuses kind of go out the window. Like, now it's time to get it going, right? BMD says tough shit. No, they don't. All right. Okay. Just took a screen recording of what you said about Mizzou and sent it to my brother, who oh, Lord. I was not mocking anyone for their sexual preference, by the way. That was just me. This is me making fun of the casual Mizzou fan. Take from that what you will. KJ is doing a bit better than Brandon Allen his first year as a starter. We know how much he improved. Yeah, and we have to remember BA, God bless him. The guy had how many different coordinators, and I always felt bad for BA. His last year at Arkansas was honestly one for the books. One for the books. Much better to win. Have things 633 yards. Yeah, and that's great. According to BMD number 1, that doesn't matter, but you had 633 total yards of offense. I think that's pretty good. Sorry about what, Jarrett? No, I mean, you know, I don't care. I encourage people to take screenshots of the show. I don't care. Video the show. I don't really care. In fact, it's kind of funny when people do it. I've had someone send me screenshots of stuff that I was, you know, my faces that I was. Mizzou should never beat us in any sport, including badminton or water polo, right? Ty, some people just have to argue. Well, you obviously know that. Oh, don't I know that? I do know that for a fact. I know that for a fact. You're right, Lance. I didn't care about Dragon of the Mist. Dragon says, I didn't care about the battle line BS, but after so many years of this crap, we need to smash them this year. Yeah, I agree 150%. It's just A&M and Mizzou losing streaks, they need to come to an end now. Like, you're better than – we know this. Arkansas is a better overall athletic program than Mizzou. Look at everything is trending up for these guys. Dave Van Horn – doing really what he's done, but it's been his best 4 or 5 years of coaching. Basketball's clearly on an upward trajectory. Hopefully everything falls in place for them this year. Football, you had a huge win over Texas. Like, you have this losing streak to A&M on some degree. You get, like, yeah, they joined the SEC and all of a sudden they're killing it in recruiting, right? They went from a pretty decent recruiting program to an elite recruiting program. So you kind of understand. They had Johnny Manziel. They had some wonderful years. I'm not saying they're a trash program. Look, I don't use the word cult loosely. Is it a cult? Do they have a cult-like following? Yeah, I think so. But there were some years where you felt like Arkansas was as good or better than A&M, and you lost those games. And it's crazy to me that you're going on a decade since these guys have joined the damn league that you've lost this often to them. And then you look at Mizzou, you're losing. Your overall record against them has been embarrassing. And it's a reflection of Jeff Long and his hires. It's a reflection of poor leadership. It's a reflection of people just not taking the damn football program more seriously, I think. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I cannot for the life of me understand why they have these losing streaks to teams like that. But they do. And it's time to put them to an end. Put them to bed. I don't want 50-50. I want 100%. I want to win both those damn games. Look, if they do finish sub, not good enough to make a bowl game, right? So if they finish 5-7, at least give me A&M and Mizzou. Okay, Ole Miss will have to put up with their fans. Almost certain word I wanted to insert. We'll have to put up with them. Oh, we beat you. Okay, yeah, whatever. Mississippi State, okay, you lost to the Pirate. Alabama, Georgia, people expect you to lose to them anyways. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to lose these games, but let's say you only had 2 more games. Those are the games I'm picking, A&M and Mizzou. It's time to put these losing streaks to bed, okay? Kill that like button. What'd you think of Hornsby versus KJ's clearly QB1, Zachary. Hornsby's still fast, but it's I think both these guys are I don't know. I don't know if KJ's going to continue to struggle. You got to get better week to week. I do think they took a step in the right direction in the passing game, but again, it's against probably one of the worst secondaries in the country. When you're talking about this level of football, this is one of the worst secondaries, but again, it was a necessary step in the right direction. It was the kind of response you wanted to see in the passing game, but they're still not crisp. And I think you're going to have that problem with whoever's at quarterback. I don't know that Malik Hornsby throws a better ball. I haven't seen it. I was at the final 2 scrimmages in Fayetteville. I was at the second scrimmage. Then I was at the red-white scrimmage. I just have not liked what I've seen from Malik in the passing game. Now, once he gets dialed in, the guy can throw the ball. Make no mistake about it, and he's got a decent deep ball. He could chuck the football down the field. You wouldn't think it for someone who's like 6'1". I don't know. What is he? He looks like he's about $120. I think he's like 180, 190 pounds or whatever. He's got a pretty good arm. I mean, as far as just his ability to chuck it downfield, he could do it. And he can deliver dimes, but you just didn't see it consistently, and I think Sam Pittman talked about that with him. The passing game, you're more restricted with Malik than you are KJ at this point. But it's very clear to me KJ is, this is beyond obvious at this point, but he's clearly QB1. Big Texas is back. Did they play? Have they played yet? They got Rice. Let's find that score. I haven't even. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. Big 12. Let's see what this great. Okay, they just started. It's 0-0, or they're just about to start. Okay, Texas Tech is up 27-14 on FIU. West Virginia beat Virginia Tech. I'll give credit where credit's due. Kansas State won today, 38-17. Baylor beat Kansas 45-7. You still got, and this will be an interesting one, Oklahoma State. What are they doing playing at Boise State? No one takes this conference serious. I'm sorry. No one takes the Big 12 serious. Iowa State, UNLV, also coming up tonight at 9:30. Oklahoma State, Boise State's at 8 p.m. All right, we're gonna put an end to it. You want to see an NFL accurate quarterback? Look at the guy from Pitt. His throws that matters, are always in the right spot. I tell you who does impress me is North Carolina's quarterback. I think, in my opinion, if I'm a Ram fan, they don't have a first round pick, but if they did, I wouldn't go with a quarterback, but I'd be hard pressed not to pick him up as Stafford's possible replacement. I think Stafford's got several years left in him. So far, I'm digging that trade with the Lions with Goff. I hate what they had to give up, but if they had the option, if they somehow traded up, I mean, they'd have to get rid of Aaron Donald to get a first-round pick, to get a top 10 pick, and they're not going to do that. But if they did, I wouldn't blame them if they took that NC quarterback. That dude is legit. He throws a good ball, man. I'm really impressed with him. What did North Carolina do today? Are they struggling? Okay, they're playing Virginia right now. Sam Howell is who I'm talking about. He's already listen to this, 4 of 5, 182 yards, 36 yards per completion, 3 touchdowns, and they're just now like in the second quarter. I'm telling you, you want to watch good quarterback play? Now, I probably just cursed him, and then I'm going to get a bunch of you like, oh yeah, look at him go, he sucked. But Sam Howell, that dude is good, man. I've liked what I've seen from him. I'm not going to blame anybody that takes him in the top 3. So far, he's looked really good. If NC ever is NC, oh yeah, Jacoby Criswell. I forgot all about him. That would, I don't know. I'm surprised he hadn't hit the transfer portal yet. We said that when he went to North Carolina. Like, look, you got to deal with this other guy. This other guy is great. Sam Howell is great. You got to deal with him, and look what he's done. Look what Sam Howell's done at NC. He's been great. I hope Tulane beats Mississippi. I think that game got postponed, apparently. I was looking at that. I'm pretty sure it got postponed. I'm not sure. Someone might want to double-check that. All right. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much, Super Chat, Patreon supporters, sponsors, of course. Shout out to them. Again, if you want to check out their links and what they have to offer, they're provided for you down below in the description box. We will see you on Monday. We're back to normal times. It's still going to be crazy. We've got a lot going on here, but at the house, in the Hudson household. But we're going to be back normal times, 11 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And we're going to have a second response, kind of, we're going to talk about what Sam Pittman said in the postgame. I'm going to watch this game again tomorrow, give you some further thoughts on what we just witnessed. Wednesday will be more of, where they're at. Talking about what Sam Pittman says on Monday, getting caught up, reading your comments, and then Friday we're breaking down Texas A&M. So it's going to be good times. Tyzilla, you are the man. I appreciate that. Remember to hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe. Check out all the links. Join the Patreon. If you don't want to join, I get it. Not everyone wants to do the PayPal or the Patreon thing. You don't want to be a part of it's $4 a month. If you want to do that, there is a one-time donation link, PayPal, provided for you as well. Woo Pig, I'll see you guys on Monday. Go Hogs.